In this episode of In Martha's Garden, we wanted to pause for a quick recap of our first season. So if you missed an episode or need a quick refresher, this is the episode for you.
Hey, to all of our listeners, you do us honor, and welcome back again to In Martha's Garden podcast. I'm Tiffani Mintz,
And I'm Nova Caprice.
and we are super excited to be back sharing this space and time with everyone tuning in. If you're here with us for the very first time, we would like to take this moment to say welcome and thank you, not once, not twice, but 3 times for taking time out of your schedule, busy or not, to join our IMG community. And you do us honor. How are you feeling, Nova Caprice?
I feel way better than I did last week. Please excuse my voice today. I have been battling a cold and my voice still isn't right, but I am here and excited to be here with you today, Tiffani. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling a little down, but I'm excited about this episode and starting this episode. And so let's get to it.
Yes. Before we do, I wanted to do a quick recap of our last episode. We were time tripping. I love going back. It's like a time capsule. Our whole life is like a time capsule. We were born at the perfect time. A little bit, well, I'm a 70s baby, so I came up in the 80s and I got to stomp around in the 90s. And to me, that's just when things were good, for me. So it's fun to go back every now and again and talk about those things. So I was happy for that.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a really cool episode. Anytime you get to reflect and reminisce about, your childhood and get to share those things, I always think it's a fun time. And we had fun.
Indeed. And as we're sitting here in our garden today, we are at basically the end of season 1, right? And before we go any further, I wanted to take a walk through the stories that shaped this season for us in Martha's Garden, Tiff.
Let's do it.
All right. Now, I normally announce that it's story time, but this episode is special. We've covered a lot this season, all aimed at providing a safe space for us and our listeners to share their stories. So let's begin with the awesome introduction of In Martha's Garden, episode 1. This was a tribute to Tiffani's grandmother, Martha Lee Ficken Stewart, and we call her Mama. And just listening to your very beginning, I always go back to 3 days old.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very important moment in your life at 3 days old. And so to hear about how Mama and Auntie Gwen came to pick you up from the hospital and raised you up. And yes, you had your mom and your dad in your life, but you were raised by Mama and Auntie Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
But Mama made it home for you. Mama made it normal for you.
Right. Yeah. Mama is the reason for this podcast. She is the inspiration behind it, my relationship with her and all my experiences with her in and through storytelling. And so that encompassed my life when I was with her storytelling, just listening to her tell stories and watching her and watching how people took their stories to her. So to me, that was the biggest, one of the best times of my life. And I think it prepared me, or it taught me empathy, right? It taught me to kind of put myself in other people's shoes, to be able to relate to everyone, because that's what she did. Any and everyone sat with her on the porch most of the time. And, like I said before, they were fed, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and a lot of times physically, because she was a great cook. And so a lot of people just came over to eat her food. Yeah, and have a conversation with her. And she would tell them, "Oh, you just over here to eat my food, Sam."
Exactly,
You know,
Sam.
yeah. But yeah, she's the reason why this platform exists. And so I felt it was, I felt it not highway robbery to share my grandmother with the world, so to speak, right? They got a glimpse into who she was because I thought she was fantastic. And I'm not just saying this because she was my grandmother. I watched how she moved with people, how she cared for people, and how just her disposition, who she was, made people want to be better and do better. I used to sit with my grandmother as she story told, not just to people that came to her for advice and inspiration, but to us, to the little kids. She would sit and tell stories, and all of us would gather around her and just listen to her. We were in awe of her stories. I mean, absolutely in awe of her stories. Everybody just sat there drinking their lemonade or their tea, and she would give us some bread, biscuits, or a snack. You know, we were in the country, and everybody loved and adored and mostly respected her. And so I was right there. If anyone has ever seen the movie Lackawanna Blues,
Mhm.
if you see that movie and you watch that movie and watch how, I forget her name in the movie, but watch how she raised that little boy, it's kind of how, it was with my grandmother.
Yes, and her name was Nanny.
That's right.
They
That's
called her
right.
Nanny.
That's right.
I love that movie. That's one of our movies, our favorite movies.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I love it. But yes, Nanny.
Yeah, everything about Nanny's character was my
Mhm.
grandmother. Her strength, how she took care of everyone. You know what I mean? How she was with the little boy. That's how my grandmother was with me.
Mhm.
And so that's why I love that movie so much. It just takes me back to, when I was very young with my grandmother in the country.
It's awesome. We also we had in common that we loved drinking that good old Sanka coffee and
There you
toast.
go. Indeed. Yeah, there was not much better to me than that toast, buttered toast. And that what we had a little coffee cup and a saucer, right?
We did. We really did. They don't even have those anymore. Do people even
I
use
don't think so. No. I
uh,
don't think they
what is
use
it, coffee
saucers.
cup and saucer?
Yeah, I don't even know if they have them come together anymore. We had sets back then where you can
Yes.
get them together, but I'm not sure if they come like that.
I mean, if you're in a restaurant, yes, but I don't see very many people taking the time to slow down to put their cup in the coffee. I
Mm-mm,
mean, put the coffee in a cup and then set it on the saucer. You got to slow down for that.
mm.
And everything's fast forward now. So,
That's right. It is. That's right. Or they use that. Back then we didn't have paper cups and paper plates and stuff. We
mhm,
used the real deal, and so I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
yes, a lot of memories. This episode stirred up a lot of early memories, about my own grandmother. So thank you for sharing that and going into detail. A lot of us, I know for myself, I could see myself under the porch with my snacks. I just was in the cupboard, just listening and enjoying myself and trying not to get caught and
Yeah,
be a part
and
of
I
the conversation.
and I wasn't nosy. No, but I was just curious. And then, like I said, I took the stuff back to church and wherever else, school, and saw the grown people that was speaking to my grandmother. And I was mad at them because I was mad because I had heard some of the bad stuff in my little mind, some of the bad stuff they were doing. So, I didn't want to talk to them. I despised them.
Yeah, you took it to heart.
Yeah, I took it to heart. They were hurting someone, and I didn't want them to hurt people. And so
Right.
I wasn't even supposed to be in those people's business, but I was. And I owned it. You know what I mean? I owned it. Like I
I
was
did.
grown.
I didn't. I did not. I just if I said it out loud, it was a mistake. And I quickly learned whatever you hear, don't you be repeating.
Oh, I never repeated.
I did.
I
I said it
Yeah,
out
see,
loud.
you talk, not me. See, I didn't repeat it. I just my how I handle people. They were like, "Oh my God, what I do to you, Pikey?" Yep, you cheated.
That's what you did.
You cheat. You cheated on that lady, and I don't want you to do that. So I'm not gonna talk to you at 6 years old.
hmm Yeah, they be like, don't tell sissy nothing. So I had to learn quick and in a hurry. When you hear something, you keep it close to your chest. I could write a book on the things that I've heard and kept to my chest. Ooh, child. Let's break down the rest of these episodes. Episode 2 was the grandmother's love. And that basically we were exploring the quiet power of generational love. And it was a reflection from a grandson on how his grandmother reached in and basically saved them from going into foster care at a time when they lost their mother and their father just could not be a father. And so their grandmother was there. And he talks about his grandmother, his aunt and uncles, and how they helped shape his path, that of his brother and sister, provided comfort and wisdom and strength, especially in the face of uncertainty. So that was a really, really good episode, Tiff.
And grief. These kids were grief stricken. They were taken out of their home, but prayerfully, hopefully, and luckily, right, their grandmother stepped in and she was the head. He was actually giving love to his grandmother. He wanted people to know how his grandmother, like you said, shaped his world, took them in and loved on them, guided them, along with, his aunt and uncle. So this was a prime example of what community and village does and how, when you have people step up to love on kids, the turnout when you have love is almost always positive. And that happened for him and his siblings. So it was a powerful story because they dealt with a lot of trauma and grief and they all got through it together. And so it was a wonderful story.
Yes, and who they are today is it's a beautiful testimony to what was poured into them. You know, as a grandparent, to see that your grandchildren they're good and they're complete now and they're able to live successful lives and they're happy and adjusted. That was the whole reason why she jumped in there, you know? And to see it on the other side and to see her grandbabies and they go back and they get her. That was like a really touching part for me, is that they are still in her life. I always talk about the generation after me being on fast forward and to slow down, right? And this grandson slows down enough to go back and have lunch with his grandmother and basically be there, as a grown up, and she can see him and see how good he's doing and see how good his siblings are doing. And I just think that that's beautiful.
Yeah. And lastly, I think it's important to mention this grandmother was of age and she didn't just take the kids in. I'm assuming just because they were her grandkids, but those were her daughter's kids. And so
Exactly.
she lost her daughter. She was also going through grief. She was also hurting. And so she took these kids in, but, she had already raised her kids. And like so many grandmothers that take on that responsibility of bringing younger kids in, that's a hell of an adjustment for someone that's raised their kids already.
Indeed.
And it speaks to love and just the power of family
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was a wonderful story. I'm glad that he brought it to us.
Yes. And episode number 3, Spicy Soulmates Interrupted. This was Miss T's story.
So, yeah, she dated a married man and fell in love with a married man. And they shared a very special love. And, like you said, for a lot of people, they would not have wanted to speak about this, but she did. And I think it resonated with a lot of people because we got a lot of feedback from it. It's actually, one of our
most listened to episodes for this season. And it is, I can imagine that people can resonate because, they've either went through it, whether they was the man on the man's side or on the female side, or they may have been the wife in the situation or the spouse in the situation. And so for her to be able to tell her story and not being disrespectful, but that was her story and her experience. And she's not going to let anybody shame her for how, the two of them loved. And so I loved that part because it's more than just sex. The relationship was more than just sex.
Yeah. Whether you agree or disagree, or think it's right or wrong, it was her story. She told it. And for me, when I listen to people's stories, if you think that people don't make mistakes, or I won't even say make mistakes, just learn through this life, right? She said that she wouldn't, if she had to do it again today, she would not. And so she just happened to fall in love with a married man, and they experienced something that was love changing for them, right? It taught her a lot. It taught him a lot. And, they ended the relationship. She learned a lot from it, but mostly how to feel loved, right? And also what she wanted in love, how she wants to feel with someone loving her. And so it was her story. That's what our platform is about. People telling their truth, their story, and we don't judge. We're just here to listen to the story because her story, like we said, may touch someone or heal someone or give them a voice to tell their story.
Exactly.
So that's what IMG is about.
Yep. Thank you. Episode 4, It Took a Village. And so this was like our love letter to the people, especially our elders, but our mentors, our parents, our aunties, neighbors. It's a celebration of collective care and basically the beauty of being held by so many hands. I had a pretty big village, so it was fun to look back and love on our people. So I was excited about that, Tiff.
I was definitely excited about it because it is important to speak about the people and love on the people that helped you get to where you are. And we did that. And we gave them their kudos. We let them know how much we love and appreciate them. And I think that should happen all the time. I think, and so that was an important episode to me and for me because there were so many people that helped keep me on track and that help me to being and becoming the person I am today.
Yes. And it was nice to be able to say their names and to thank them. And some of these people are not here anymore for them to hear me say thank you, but their children are. And so I wanted their children to know just how impactful your mother or your father or your sister or your brother was in my life. And so to be able to say thank you out loud to these people and their families was important for me.
Indeed.
Episode 5, Tiffany, Where Love Lives Quietly Inside True Friendship.
Well, this story, I think I gave out flowers to my great friend, right? That's this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. To Jennifer Coakley, whom I spent time with in the military. She was a part of our family, our military family. She passed at a very young age, but her impact on me and the people that were close to her, we'll never forget. And if you met her, you could never forget her. You would not forget her. She had that much of a presence when meeting anyone, but we knew her. She loved us. We loved her. And I just wanted to say thank you and give thanks and show my gratitude for the kind of friend she was to me. And that was, she was very honest, loving, caring. She was unapologetically herself. I wish more people was like that. I wish I was like her when I was that age. I wasn't. I was more of a people pleaser, but she was completely unapologetically who she was. She didn't care about what people said or anything like that. And I admired that in her, even though I was older than her. She was a wonderful friend. I mean, she was a great presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to, show my gratitude or let people know how grateful I was to have a friend like that and like her.
Yes. And if you have a friend, you are really blessed to know that you have a friend like that. Some people don't know till it's too late, you know, but you knew, and you guys had a really, really nice relationship. It made me think about my girlfriends and how close I am with my girlfriends. Blood couldn't make us any closer. And how they poured into me in my time of need. Who is there? Who is there without you having to ask? You know, they're just that type of friend. So,
Yeah, they're what I forget the guy's name. He's the happiness man. He said we need more useless friends,
mhm,
right? Friends that, you know, they're not, they don't take anything from you. They're just consistently there.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so those are the kind of friends we talked about on this
Hmm.
episode. And it is the best kind of friend to have and to share time and space with. And so I've been blessed in my life to have a few friends like that.
Yes. And the happiness guy, I've heard you talk about him before. We have to explore him some more.
Yeah, he's one of my dudes.
Thank you. Episode 6 is the quiet goodbye, grieving someone who is still alive. You know, we talked about that time when someone quit me.
Yeah, this episode was about friends that just stopped talking. They just stopped talking to you. You have no idea. There's no rhyme or reason. They just cut you off, and you have no idea what happened. I think that's foolery and foolishness because I don't handle people like that.
Right.
And so my patience for that kind of behavior is zero. And so we talked about it. Happened to me with the same person twice. And so it's not a good feeling. Oh, it's just not a good thing. you know, uh,
Sometimes I can't even wrap my head around the behavior to be able to articulate. Just like you, it's like, who does that? But
indeed.
people do. People do.
They do.
And we're not
Yep.
perfect by far. We're human, and it's up to us whenever you are hurt or whenever someone does hurt you. If you have the opportunity to talk about it, then you do. If you value anything
Mm-hmm.
about that person, if you care about them the way that you say that you do, if not, what do we say? It just is what it is.
Just say fuck them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know,
Really have
I'm
to
just
do
being
that. I have
honest.
to do that because
Yeah.
other than that, my heart will linger on, and I have to eventually say, you know what? Their heart ain't lingering on. Fuck
Yeah.
them.
You have to admit what happened, see it as it is and as it was, and then let it go. It doesn't stop how I think people try to move past how they feel for the person. So if you really love that person and care for them, you have to sit in that. That's okay. That's who you are and how you are. And that's a great thing, right? And so you just get through that piece, but just understanding that very often people are not going to be you. They're not like you. you want that, right? So you want a friend that y'all have some core values that are alike,
Right.
right? But sometimes you just miss the mark with friends, right? Or people who you thought were a friend. And in this case, that's what happened. And I said on that episode that, I give grace to people because people go through things and not everyone has the capacity to communicate like me. You understand what I'm saying? And so, though I do not condone the behavior, okay, because you were there this whole time when it was convenient for you, then when it became inconvenient for you, you ran instead of having just a conversation, which would have cleared everything up,
Right.
you know? And so having a person wander, be confused, reach out to you, you're not speaking back. Now, that in of itself is closure, but it's still very hurtful.
Right.
And if you love someone, even if you need to take time for yourself, and that's fine, I do it. I've taken time for myself, but I had the conversation with someone I love first. I respected them and loved them that much to have a conversation with them. I don't think that should be hard to do if you care about somebody. But for a lot of people, they don't do that. That's not how they handle things. And in this case, that's how it was. And you just move on and you live and learn and you understand. I think more than anything, you recognize what it teaches. What that relationship taught me was how I saw myself, what I wanted, and how I wanted people to treat me, how I treated myself, and how I set boundaries for how people will treat me. You know what I mean? And so I don't have the patience for bullshit anymore as it relates to that kind of behavior.
Right. Episode 7. That was Echoes from the Village. That was another fun episode. We collected clips from our listeners and they shared how their village shaped them. So it was nice to hear other people's stories about their village, the people that they love, the things, that they went through, and basically calling out their village and giving them their flowers as well. So that was a fun episode. So
It was absolutely fun. I love to hear other people's stories about their village. And we asked them for that. And they blessed us with their sharing their families and their love for their families and their village. And so I thought it was awesome. It's always fun to hear about other people's lives and how they see the people in their lives. So it was great for me.
And we done skipped all the way down to episode 7 because this is the episode that Zane was on, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Zane was awesome. He was 6 at the time. But Zane is an old soul, so it's not just like he's a regular kid. And I'm not just saying that because he's my dude. He has always been like that. And so he's very aware, this kid. And so what you heard was just him being authentically himself. You know what I mean? And so,
Right. And a lot of kids don't have that air about them.
yeah, we have to get him on video so people can really see like his personality. But you heard it a little bit, but we'll bring him on.
You can hear it in his answers and how he,
Yeah, he was actually thinking.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I love it. It was very fun to listen to him and to listen to his mom when she shared hers.
Yeah. But yes, shout out to Lil Zane.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Episode 8, The Brother We Lost, The Love We Keep. That was with me and Cassandra talking about our brother JR, who we lost to suicide. And we just kind of talked about what we went through the last 24 hours of his life. We shared some happy moments. I shared things in that episode with Cassandra that I had never shared with her before. We cried, but the biggest part is that we were there talking about it. So that lets you know that we are on our healing journey when it comes to our brother, JR, and what we went through and what we're still going through. made me think about our other siblings, his children. How is everyone doing? Are we going to be able to, get back to life? And from all of the people that I talked to after this episode aired, just checking, like, are you okay? Everyone is okay. We just getting, we're doing what we need to do, but we're living and we're able to now talk about him and share with someone else that might have gone through what we went through, or to think about their loved one outside of what they've done to themselves, but who they were. Just share a little bit of pieces of who they were. And we were able to do that with you, Tiffani, in that episode. So thank you for being there to facilitate that.
This episode touched people. It was very sad at times because you all had to relive it, right? And so for me, I felt that. I did not know JR, so I was learning him through you all.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was very humbling, and it made me realize how fragile and how short life truly is. We don't have time for hate, foolishness, anything outside of love and relationship. We don't have time for it. And so you never know what a person is going through. You never know what will happen to them. We do not have tomorrow, contrary to what people believe. We're not guaranteed that. And so this episode was truly touching, and I felt that from y'all. And so it was a deep episode.
It was.
And I'm glad you got to tell his story and your story and Cassandra's story and your family's story, because a lot of people responded to this episode. And so that means people heard it. Maybe for some people it was healing. They learned some resources that they had not known prior to this episode, that you actually gave out the resources where they could do walks and all and called helplines and all these kinds of things. So yes, this story was deeply touching, right? That's what we want.
My hope was that it would help people be able to look at their loved one and not see the stain of the trauma that happened by them no longer being here, to be able, for me, think about my brother and think about happy times and be able to laugh when I can see in my mind's eye some of the little silly things that he did as a kid, and being able to think back at him and smile and remember good things as opposed to the last thing that he left us with.
The tragedy. You're remembering the love and the relationship you had with him, and not just the tragedy of what happened to him.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
And hopefully other listeners that went through this, they can think about how they can honor, because it went from grief stricken to what can I do to help make sure that this doesn't happen for other people? How do I honor my brother to ensure, that his death wasn't in vain? He was in pain, but his death wasn't in vain. It was good for me to be able to finally articulate that and be brave enough to speak about those things. So.
To release. Yeah, indeed.
Yep. So that was episode 8. Episode 9, this was also near and dear to my heart. We had guest Colinthia Nunnally join us on a conversation about sexual health, HIV prevention, empowerment, and how she uses education as a tool. So that was a powerful episode, Tiffani.
Indeed. I've worked with Kat. I know how hard she works. I know that this is her ministry. It's just in her to do it, to do outreach and to reach people that other people don't see. She sees them. And so she's outstanding at what she does, how she goes into the community to reach people. And she talked about that on this episode, and we need more of that. And so we need people to help fund her and other people like her to get into the communities. These people are on the ground. They're not away talking about these things. They are actually on the ground. Cat is on the ground talking to people and giving out, administering tests, HIV tests, and talking to these people, especially Black women, about their sexual health. And you would be surprised to know that a lot of women don't know their bodies. They don't know the resources they can get. They don't know a lot about sexual health. And so she's on the ground doing that, and we salute her. And it was an outstanding episode. Again, it's one of our highest rated episodes, which means people, bought into it and resonated with what she was saying. And so my prayer and hope is that people get tested and know everything they can about their sexual health, especially Black women.
Yes. Episode 10, Time Tripping Then and Now. We took a nostalgic ride through our childhood memories, back to our neighborhoods, how we grew up, our friends, the music, just everything that helped shape us. And here I am today. And I love going back down memory lane and just sharing all of those things. It was fun to hear the different things from your past too, Tiff.
It was fun, fantastic, and fabulous. We had a great time with it.
We did.
And comparing, and not a bad way, but just showing the differences in how we came up and how we were raised compared to now. And it is a big difference. The world is very different now. And so it was fun sharing our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how we came up, our village, our community, how community was with the younger people today.
Right. And that's something that, every household is different, right? But our cultural similarities, the things that we grew up with in the 70s and the 80s, the children these days, they just would not understand. Something as simple as the internet. They think the internet is as much a right of theirs as breathing. But for us, we had to sit with that long dial-up and wait on the anticipation for AOL to connect before we could get the internet. So we can appreciate. We have a little bit more patience for things because it's like we have the manual way to do things and the modernized way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Our phone, I used to have to go to a payphone if I wanted privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Do they even have payphones anymore?
What about, we didn't have Google, so we had to use the dictionary, or we had to use the encyclopedia. I used to work with kids, and these kids have no idea. They don't even know how to use the dictionary, which I think is very sad. And things like going to the library.
Yes.
Where you learn, you go choose a book and you have to check it out. All those things are life skills.
A lot of the things that we did back then, it helped enhance our critical thinking skills.
Absolutely.
And a lack of these things is reflected in how the children act today.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not someone exposing them to things to make them use their critical thinking skills, they're not going to have them. They're going to get lost.
Also, conflict resolution. So we see these people more and more. Our society is becoming more violent. People don't talk things out.
Right.
No one wants to use conflict resolution. I think one of the saddest things that I see in kids today, whether they're in state care or just in the average home, is this entitlement that they have of how things are supposed to be and what they should get. It amazes me. I think it's absolutely crazy. And these kids, like I said, they go back and forth with you and won't budge and will curse you out. And, and they think that's okay. Where when I was coming up, you didn't curse at anyone. You're going to get knocked out.
Exactly.
You didn't do that. If my grandmother asked me to do something, and one thing about my grandmother is she wasn't so old school that she didn't value my opinion. My opinion meant something to her. But there were times she didn't need my opinion. She didn't want it. I needed to
Exactly.
move. I understood that. See,
A
and
lot
here's
of
the thing.
kids
I
don't. Even my
understood.
own grandson, Zay tried to
Yeah.
negotiate and go back and forth with me all the time. I'm like, that's it. That's done. Why don't you get that?
Yeah. Whereas we didn't do that. Yeah.
Exactly.
We knew better. Yeah.
The
Even if
fr-
we didn't get hit, we just got the eyes. We just
yeah,
got the look.
the phrase "you better come correct." I had guaranteed that came from somebody's grandmama, because when they called you, you came correct. You didn't come with no what, or you know,
No.
you came correct.
You didn't. We couldn't even say lie. Like,
Right.
that was a curse word. That was like a curse word. You lying? That was like a curse word. That was for grown-ups. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just things like that. If my grandmother called you, you said yes or yes, ma'am. Period, point blank. There was no yeah, what, none of that stuff. None of it. And I'm glad that we had those things, right? And so
Yes.
I think it's missing today, and I think it's hurt our community and our children.
Yeah. It's going to take us, because we're the last generation to receive it. It's going to take us to start having these conversations and to point out the differences, because I know what I've instilled in my children, but I'm not seeing these lessons come through. The ones that I passed on, I'm not seeing them come through.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it not only in my grandchildren, I see it in a lot of children. It's widespread, and we have to go back. We have to go back, and so I love showing the contrast, not to point out or point fingers to anybody, but just to show the contrast of how far we've come.
Yeah, but here, listen, on IMG and everything dealing with me, we call a spade,
Yeah,
whether
definitely.
people like it or not. That's how I was raised, and there are major differences. If you came up in the 70s and 80s, and well, I don't know about the 90s, but if you came up in the 70s or 80s, there's a major difference in how you were raised. Period,
Exactly.
point blank.
Exactly. Everybody has their story, where they came from. I've been blessed. I consider myself blessed to be born when I was born. Like I said, I feel like I've had the best of all experiences, of the experiences that we could have had.
Indeed. And it's not every generation has its strengths, right? Every
Mhm.
generation has things they could have done better. Or, when we look at it and say, man, what we're saying is the foundation that was set with us seems to be non-existent today.
Right.
And that's very important.
Indeed. That is it for our recap. We had a pretty big season. I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm super excited.
So am I.
All right, y'all. That's the full rundown. Every episode, every topic from season 1, all in one place. If you've been riding with us since the very beginning, thank you so much. And if you're new and want to catch up, visit our webpage. Search for us at In Martha's Garden. That's INN Martha's Garden. Listen to the full episodes so you can officially be in the loop.
Well, all right. My grandmother used to say, Mama used to say, give me my flowers while I'm living. And we did. We honored that. We gave her flowers. I'm talking about myself, my aunt, and the people that loved her. And now we're at a very special part of the show where we take a moment to give flowers to the living. And this isn't about roses or lilies. It's about taking time out to celebrate those who have loved and loved on us, inspired us, empowered others, shown courage, and accomplished something truly remarkable. And in this space, we honor the lives and achievements that make an impact. And we recognize the hearts and minds that have shaped our world and also the world around us. So today, and on every episode, we pause to express gratitude and admiration and to remind them and all of us that love and greatness is worth, and I would say, and we would say, should be celebrated in the here and now.
For this episode, our flowers go to everyone who helped contribute to the success of the first season of In Martha's Garden, a storytelling podcast. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in week after week. You're listening from all over the world, and we couldn't be more excited to share each episode with you. To our guests, thank you for showing up, sharing your stories, and trusting us with your voices. You truly are the heartbeat of each episode. To our village, our family, our friends, our day ones, thank you for supporting our dreams. Y'all really came through for us anytime that we asked. Thank you for sharing your stories, for your encouragement, your feedback, and for meeting us where we were when we needed you. We love you. Your support means everything to us. This podcast was inspired by our hopes and dreams written in our journals, and now look at us. We couldn't have done it without every single one of you. Thank you, thank you. You can help us grow by liking, leaving a comment, and sharing our social media posts. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button to stay tapped in for all things IMG Season 2. We'll see you soon.
Mama would be like, tell those people bye. You got to take time for yourself sometimes. Don't you got to get rest?